This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I'm your host, Jason Bishop, and with me, as always, is Sam Stepanenko.
Hello.
And Trish Coughlin.
Hey, everybody.
And we're finally doing it. We're doing the big one, the one everybody's requested. Thing from Outer Space versus John Carpenter's Thing.
I watched the wrong movies.
Joke's on you.
I told you.
No.
What did I tell you?
You told me we were doing Taxi again. So I watched them again.
Well, they're okay, but why would you want to watch them? We just did it.
I don't know, but that's what you told me.
I thought we just lost... you told me that we lost the audio.
Well, April Fools.
Damn it.
And that's what we're doing, April Fool's Day. 1986, this movie came out, directed by Fred Walton, who also did When a Stranger Calls, which we might wind up doing at some point. And the script for this film was written by Danilo Bach, who went on to write the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
2 of those are good.
I was about to say, yeah, he got worse as he went along.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I can't believe I'd never seen it before.
Oh, really? I've seen it a few times. I love it.
I love it, and I'm really mad that a Blu-ray doesn't exist for this film.
It should.
It should.
It should.
Get the fuck on it right now, because I want it.
I remember watching, because I've seen this movie before. I had seen it when I was a teenager, obviously, but when I was watching it for the podcast, I'm like, oh wow, that's so and so from this, and that's so and so from this.
Yes.
And there's an actor in this one that was in our episode 3 weeks ago, Leprechaun.
Yes, I know.
I'm like,
with the same hair.
with the same hair.
Yeah, episode
4 years
79.
later.
That was Ken Olant, who played Rob.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in Leprechaun for sure.
Yeah, he played the hero in 2 horror movies where nobody dies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of horror alum
That's great.
and one Back to the Future alum.
Yes.
I know, right?
I honestly didn't even recognize him through the entire movie. I'm like, oh wait, that's Biff.
Yeah.
I recognized him. I'm like, no, that's not
was
him.
Arch.
And then I
Yeah.
saw him again. I'm like, no, it is Biff.
It was
Yeah.
confusing me a lot. I'm like, I shouldn't be attracted to Biff. Something terribly wrong is happening here.
Yeah. Now I wonder if he shot this before or after Back to the Future, because they both came out around the same time.
Because it says 86, Back to the Future is 85?
Yeah.
Or 84.
I'm not breaking up my IMDb right now. So.
It's okay. You can keep talking your stuff and I'll look it up. How about that?
Okay, because that always works out well. As we get dead air. Okay, this movie starred Deborah Foreman, who was Muffy. She was in another horror movie called Waxwork.
Yeah.
Griffin O'Neill, who played Skip, was also in episode 35 of The Wraith.
Yeah.
Clayton Rohner was Chaz. He was I'm assuming a link in the Human Centipede chain in number 3. I don't know. I never saw the third movie, so I haven't seen really.
He's been in a few things. He did Star Trek, and
that was the one I wanted to mention.
Just one of. He shares a movie with another one of the girls in this.
Right. Jay Baker was Harvey. Pat Barlow was Clara. Lloyd Berry from Jumanji was the ferryman, which was kind of cool to see him. Deborah Goodrich was Nikki. I might have a little lust for Nikki.
She's awesome. Well,
It was just that accent alone. She's got a strange accent that I really adored.
She was beautiful and fun. Like, you can't. She's one of the rare actresses playing a character where she's like the hot friend, but you don't hate her.
Yep.
And her and Clayton Rohner were in Just One of the Guys together as well.
Yeah.
That's another movie.
Tom Heaton was Constable Potter, and he was in Shanghai Noon and Slither and a bunch of other stuff. So, cool guy. Leah Pinsett was Nan, good Canadian actress.
You betcha.
Mike Nomad, who a lot of people might remember from Cocoon, but he's primarily a stunt guy. He played Buck, and of course that would make sense because that was a pretty good stunt.
Yep.
Ken Allant, as we mentioned, was Rob and he was just in our Leprechaun episode of 79. Amy Steele was Kit, and she was also in Friday the 13th Part 2.
Love her.
And, of course, Thomas F. Wilson was Arch, and he was Biff Tannen in Back to the Future. So,
Yeah.
And it was
lots
1
of
year
crazy
prior,
stuff.
so...
Nice.
There you go.
But obviously it hadn't hit yet when he was filming this, and that's why he was...
And he was definitely putting on that deeper voice because it wasn't... No Biffisms were clicking here.
No.
He was playing a very different character.
He was
Yeah.
awesome in this movie.
He was awesome. It was fun to watch him play sort of the lighthearted character without that mean spirit that Biff had.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's why it was so confusing for me. Like, I thought he was cool. I adored him.
Yeah, and I think that's why I really like the film. This film in general is they really do feel like a bunch of friends that are hanging out and going to this function together at Muffy's cabin. Like they really do feel like they like each other.
Yeah, a mansion on Vancouver Island. This beautiful movie set against the gorgeous backdrop of British Columbia.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful looking place.
Yeah, and it's funny because I mean, having spent a lot of time along the coast there, even like in the late '80s when they were filming this, I'm like, I don't know where that ferry is, and I don't know where they shot it. I couldn't figure out where they had shot it.
Oh, see, it just felt so BC to me.
Oh, it did.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question it felt BC. Right?
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where the ferry was and what island they were shooting on because I think they were actually shooting on an island like Salt Spring or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where either, but yeah, I'd back you on that one. It's definitely one of the islands.
Yeah, well, that's what you have around BC, those little tiny islands where there's one house on there.
Yeah, and they would have one of those little rickety ferry docks. And
Yep.
the only thing I didn't get about this movie, and I'm going to say it right now, is why is there like an hourly ferry or when there's one house on the island?
Oh, see, I thought...
I'm assuming he's servicing more than one house.
That's what I thought. I thought he was going to a few islands. It was
doing like a
around.
circuit?
Yeah, I thought it was a circuit.
Because there was a sign that said no 12:30 ferry, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if he like go like different islands at different times. I don't know, but
I just thought he was doing
that
a
was
round
something
circuit.
that bugged me. Is like, okay, why is there a ferry if there's only one house on this island?
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe it's a special stop he makes on his normal ferry route.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, that was my only real complaint about this movie. So I shouldn't be complaining too loud.
Yeah, why were the cops already at the island?
Yeah.
There was that as well. But
Well, the cops had their own
now
boat.
we do know now, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
But spoilers.
Yeah.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I already kind of spoiled it.
Yeah. Kind of.
Well, it's in the title in the end, I guess.
True.
It's in the title. Now, this movie was remade in 2008, kinda. It was totally... the original scripts it was meant to be more of a straight-up remake. The Butcher Brothers came in, wrote their script, and then it was later... A new teleplay was made to kind of update it to modern times and turn it into a little bit more of a straight-up horror that they were mocking in the first one.
See,
and that's where it does fail. Although I'm a big fan of Mitchell Altieri and Phil Flores, the Butcher Brothers. I really liked the Hamiltons and the Thompsons, two of their earlier works. And there's still some great writing within the film. But
Really?
I think it's actually a fairly well structured film, but it loses everything as soon as you making it more of a straight up horror movie. I mean, it still has the elements but while still bringing it back to that slasher motif, which is what they were making fun of because 1986 they were coming off fairly late in the slasher genre. And
See,
it
in
was
2008,
right
I
at
thought
the
that
end.
whole movie was a freaking joke because they took everything that was really good about the first one and just tanked it. Like
Well,
I despised every single person in that remake. I wanted them dead. I didn't want it to be a joke.
I really liked Peter. He was hilarious.
Yeah.
Peter Welling, played by Samuel Child. He was also in the Hamiltons and the Thompsons, and he was fucking hilarious.
Okay,
But
he was okay. I will go with you. He was the only
that dumbass politician.
He was the only part of that
funny.
movie I could even remotely tolerate.
I think that's where it really came down to it. You got a bunch of rich kids, or rich 20-somethings, and just fucking hated all. They all were just terrible persons, and I mean, Granted, a lot of them get the
when you
comeuppance,
spend the movie wanting
still.
all the cast dead,
Yeah, exactly.
you are not going to have a good movie.
I identify with the first group. I can't identify with the second group.
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head there. Is they're both rich groups of rich kids, but the rich kids in the original were still down to earth, friendly. They weren't backstabby, self-involved little pricks. Whereas in the remake, they really were. Every single one of them was self-involved, and you got no sense of an actual friendship. These are people that they knew because they were all society friends.
In competition with
They
each
were
other.
terrible, and I couldn't. You know what? Here's the part that drove me absolutely nuts. I couldn't get a take on how any of these people interacted with each other because you have a coming out party. It's a debutante party. You do not have that in your mid-20s. So they've got a 16-year-old at this party that they're throwing her
I don't
for.
even understand what the fuck it is.
A debutante party is like something you have, like I think when you're 16. It's a very southern thing, from what I understand, and it's a teenager, the person who you have a coming out ball for, and it's usually not more than one. It's more than one person. It's usually a debutante ball with a number of debutantes, not one debutante with a bunch of people who are a lot older and a Miss Tennessee that's like engaged. How old is she? What's going on? It's ridiculous.
Well, they even call her a MILF at one point.
They even called her a MILF at one point. You're right.
None of these people should know each other except the brother and sister. And even then I'm like, no, they probably raised apart.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And, I do find that a lot of the at least a few of the deaths or major scenes are really telegraphed. You can see them coming a mile away.
The stupid van?
As soon as they tell you about the knife, well, that's going to come into play. As soon as you tell us, that guy can't swim, well, he's going to die in the water, etc. There's a lot of I don't know if the average person would see it, but I think most people would. It's like, well, there's no surprises in this movie because I know what's coming.
One part of this movie I was screaming, laughing at was that stupid van. She's running from the van and it's behind her car going, screech forward, screech backward, screech forward, screech. Like, what? That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen committed to film. And I've seen Freddy got fingered.
When you see the end, it actually ties all together.
Makes sense
it totally makes sense to me.
No, it doesn't. No, the whole thing is terrible.
I found it watchable.
I
didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. I certainly didn't like it as much as the first film.
Of course, no. I have to agree with you on that.
It is barely watchable.
Well, I disagree with her on this.
I will give credit to...
I started warming up to characters midway that I did loathe right out of the gate. So
the lead character... Desiree, yeah. I started to warm to her, and then... it's... The funny thing is the acting was actually quite good. Like, the acting was solid, except for the one who's had the most success. I found that Scout Taylor Compton was really weak in this film.
Yeah, who you might better know from Halloween 1 and 2, which was episode 59 for us. Just saying.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I complained about her acting in that one too, thinking about it. She's not a good actress.
Yeah, most of these people are kind of extras from when I'm looking through the credits up to this point. Or getting small parts and things. Like, they're all working actors, but not a lot of leads in any of their resumes, except for maybe Samuel Child, who's obviously one of the Butcher Brothers' main guys. They probably all came up together, and he's quite funny, so I give him a pass. But I think Taylor Cole did a pretty decent job as Desiree. I certainly loathed her at the beginning, and I started warming up to her later on. So, I think she did a great job for what she was trying to do. So, because she had me on the roller coaster.
I couldn't.
And the actor who played her brother. I mean, he was like I said, I bought him. I bought him as the overprivileged,
completely reprehensible human being.
Yeah, Josh Sanderson.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, and again, I know I've seen him in other things before as well, but yeah, like I said, the one with the biggest body of work was probably the weakest link in the acting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just furious I had to watch it. It was so bad. Like,
I didn't mind it.
The only thing about it, what I found distracting, and I saw like a review, and this review kind of hit it on the head because I couldn't quite put my finger on what this looked like. It is shot, and it looks a lot like a late 90s softcore porn, because everything is shiny. The women are wearing lots of shiny outfits. Their lips are shiny. Their eyes are shiny. Their hair is shiny.
Oh, you know, when I walk into a movie
very
like
porn
this,
level looking.
oh, and I just thought, I'm like, oh, look, it's every CW show.
Yeah, and it's funny.
That was the first thing I thought of when I watched it. Like, this looks like 90210 fucking Dawson's Creek bullshit.
I didn't get that. It's a poorly aped CW show.
Yeah, but
it's not good enough to look like a CW show.
I disagree because I don't like those either, but I kind of like this movie. Not a lot, but I mean, I would rewatch the original 1,000 times before I'd watch this one a second time. But
no, I mean it's
the beautiful people.
Yeah, I mean, when you're comparing it to the original, I think the biggest disservice they did to this remake was taking it out of that closed environment and moving into an entire city. And making all these characters as unlikable as they did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, but they're unlikable. But why would they even know each other? That's what drove me the most nuts. They just there's no connection. In the first movie, they all kind of go to the same school or at least colleges close to each other. I get why they'd even know each other.
Friends, yeah, and
but these people are not at all.
Yeah, except for the one, and he's the boyfriend of one of the girls.
Yeah, well,
they all know
Charles,
him.
I was trying to figure. I still was baffled at his connection to everybody.
Because
he's the gossip
there
guy.
isn't one.
He's the gossip.
That is why.
Yeah, he's the gossip guy, but he's at the coming out party. He's obviously some friend of theirs, but the connection was kind of tenuous at best.
There's no
at this
connection.
point, I thought he was like a pet of Desiree's for the longest time. I'm like, I don't know what he's about. He's just always hanging on Desiree.
Yeah, and I mean, they infer that these people all know each other through the local society, right? All of the rich kids kind of know each other because they don't...
Country club bullshit.
Yeah, it's country club bullshit. It's exactly what it is. Is they don't necessarily like each other, but because they're all part of that same social circle, they still do these things together, right? Because after the events at the beginning of the movie, they really don't see each other for a year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they don't talk to each other, they don't see each other for a year.
Well, their antics got somebody killed.
Yeah. But
they saw each other in court. That's about it. But it's still
they don't really
horrible.
like each other.
Yeah.
Right? And
I can see why.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't like them.
Yeah, none of them
Except
are
for
likable.
Peter.
Yeah, like Peter, the poor, dumb, stupid Peter.
Of course he'd be running for politics.
Yeah. Like I say, he was... I will give the movie this. He was the one bright light I could tolerate.
They're all trying to film... Milan and Blaine getting it on, and he's like, "Ooh, nice door."
Yeah,
Ooh,
hardwood.
Oak.
No,
hardwood.
Oh, pine.
Yeah, like I love. No, he said hardwood, and I'm like, that's not something you make a door out of. Oh, you sweet dumb bastard.
But they were watching Hardwood.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think that was kind of the pun that was supposed to be.
And she's drugged and has a seizure, and I'm like, ugh, why can't we just kill these people outright at the beginning?
No, Peter had the best lines.
Yeah,
in the whole movie.
I know what this is probably my biggest beef about the remake is the long setup. Like that whole setup really took away from the rest of the film because it just took too long.
Well, they give you all those characters except for Milan, who kind of comes late into the scene, and you're not invested in her enough. So when she dies, she's almost too sweet, saccharine sweet. It's like, oh, you're so dying.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like, you're not even...
Yeah, you're set up to be
You're
the
not
victim.
even know if it's going to... Like, she's legit sweet.
Well,
or just, I'm doing all this charity stuff to make myself look better.
The problem is... A big problem of it is like, if you're going to do a prank gone wrong, maybe have a less reprehensible prank. You know? Like, we're going to drug her...
It felt like Mean Girls.
Yeah, drug her and rape her and have it filmed? Like, that's where our starting point is?
Yeah,
it was a weak motivation.
I mean, it wasn't. They were supposed to make it look like that. It was a double-edged sword prank because it was supposed to make Blaine look bad too. Like it was because she was Desiree's in competition with this other socialite Milan, and just has jealousy, and that's part of it. But she also wants control of the inheritance.
Yeah, but it's just...
Blaine has control of it, yeah. And that's basically the only thing he's good at is controlling the money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But it's not... I don't know. You started off with the worst prank of all. You could have maybe done something better with the movie. I could have maybe gotten on board with these people. I fucking hate it if it had been a better
And
prank
this is
that
another
wasn't
place
as
where
bad.
they telegraph things as well, because right earlier in that scene, they said never. I think it was Milan who says something about never trust
Don't trust anybody.
never trust the socialites, because no matter how much they have, they want more.
More.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really is the motivation through most of the film. So.
It really is. And this is a tough one to compare because, I mean, aside from the endings,
Yeah, they're all different characters.
they're all different characters. The stories are essentially different. Right? I mean, it's really tough to call this a true remake.
I don't think it is a remake at all.
No,
really.
it's
I think
inspired
somebody
by.
had an
It started
idea.
out as it did start out as a legitimate remake, and Danilo Bach does get credited as for it. So it is technically a remake, but they've gone. It's more based on the idea rather than the intricate plot. Like,
Actually, it's not even the idea.
It is.
The point of it is the very end is what it's based on. The end where nobody's actually dead is what it's based on. That's the only thing it has in common.
Wrong. Actually, no, because there's a lost third act from the original film where one of the characters does come back to kill Muffy. It's her brother Skip. It's they edited it out.
Yeah.
But that's basically what they've done, is gone back to the original story of the film. So that's why Desiree gets
okay,
it.
but
in
let's
the end.
let's think of it this way: are we discussing remakes as the first script that was written, or what was actually made? Because you're talking about the script that was written and shot, but never actually released.
Well,
so
this is the thing.
Is this what we're doing with our remakes now?
This is the thing argument. They're very different movies, but it's still a remake because the overarching theme of paranoia and isolation is still there. The theme is still here.
The theme is still here. Like I said, I mean, like I said, I quite like I said, it's a remake in the simplest sense of the
It doesn't work very well, but at least I give them credit for taking the nugget of the idea and doing something completely new with it. It doesn't work very well.
But like the original one was it's somebody's killing somebody at this mansion, but this one it's a prank and vengeance, and then you have the reveal nobody's actually dead. So they seem like very different movies to me.
Well, they
Not
weren't
even
setting
remakes.
out to kill anybody. I mean, the death is accidental.
No. But I guess
But
that's my
it's-
beef with the prank, and I see what you're
It's a
saying.
prank gone wrong.
It's a prank gone wrong.
But then you have a vengeance angle, and it's not even the same as the original.
It is the same as the original, though, because in the original, when that guy falls off and his eye pops out, that's supposed to be the motivation. Instead, the only thing they did differently is they actually made somebody die, right? Versus the original, where even that accident.
But you're talking about the red herring in the original where he falls and they think it's him doing the killing, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, in that original ending that they edited out of the film, Skip wants control of the inheritance that Muffy has.
Yeah, and they do mention Skip in the version that we saw too.
Yeah, who is posing as the cousin is actually the brother.
Yeah. But the basic structure is the same, right? You have this.
So vengeance tales are the same as random killing.
You know what?
No.
Let's run the trailer. Trish is getting upset. She needs a breather, and we'll come back to this.
Cordially invites you to a party to end all parties.
Craziest party that could ever be. Don't turn on the lights, cause I don't want to see.
April Fool.
Welcome to my home and lifestyles of the rich and undeserving. Roll on.
Cheers.
Join 8 privileged guests who are just dying to have fun.
Wow, what is this? The bridal suite? You like it?
The ladies,
I find a use for it.
the gentlemen,
We did on the first date.
the young,
Well, basically, I possess an essential lack of seriousness.
and the restless.
You are such a jerk.
Everyone is having such a good time. It's scary.
Is something wrong?
Radio is blasting. Someone's knocking at the door. I see so many things I never see. But no one is. I don't want to see no more.
April Fool's Day. Get ready to party till you drop. Rated R. Starts Thursday, March 27th at a theater near you.
All right, we're back. Trish is still mad.
I am still mad.
All right, so that was April Fool's 1986, and I gotta say I love this film. Budgeted it at $5 million, grossed 12.9, almost $13 million. That's okay. It's okay. It was certainly wasn't a hit by hit standards. It made its money back, and everybody got paid and got pizza for dinner or something.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a super profitable film. But, it was coming out at a time at the tail end of the slasher genre. Oddly enough, I watched a thing about slasher movies, and part of why they think the movie didn't do very well is because people thought they were going to go see a slasher movie. Like, it's in the fucking title, guys.
Exactly.
I'm a little baffled by that whole concept, but...
Well, I think that's why it's kind of got that cult status now where people are like, they appreciate the idea that it is an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, the whole movie is really, which I love. You got all these friends going off to Muffy's Island.
Well, she inherited the house because I think her mom died or her dad died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When she turned 21, she got the house.
Yeah.
And they do show an earlier scene with this really scary Jack-in-the-Box.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't the same Jack-in-the-Box at the end. I was a little baffled by it, but I thought that thing was terrifying.
I think it's because the Jack and Box in the end was filmed later in L.A. as an addition.
It was a tacked-on ending. That's why they had different haircuts the whole bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked very different in that very final scene.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was still nice. It was a bit of a nod to, because there was actually two different endings to this film. Neither one of them we saw. One obviously we just talked about the one that was shot, but never was cut out. And there are stills that exist from it. So I don't know if we'll ever. That'd be something nice I'd like to see for the Blu-ray edition if it surfaces.
It'd be nice to have. And what I also recommend is what I watched this morning was like a Q&A panel with the girls in this movie that they did. And one of the women was talking about, she's like, am I crazy? Did we not do this? Where she talks about the ending where they were filming stuff. And of course, a bunch of them were in different places at a time. Like apparently they get off, but then they go back to the island. And there's other stuff happening, and they were trying to remember it, but it's been 30 years. So, yeah this if they still have the footage, I don't know if they do.
And that's why I'm baffled. We're at 31 years, and we already passed the anniversary, and we didn't get a really deluxe Blu-ray of this. Where was Arrow? Where was,
people
Scream
would buy
Factory?
it, I think.
Yeah,
like,
where were you guys on this one?
Please bring this back, because it does have a cult status. People remember this movie.
Yeah, I came out of this and I'm like, even now I want to watch it again because I think it really holds up.
It does. I mean, considering when it was made, but it was just so much fun to watch.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed the character interactions, even though it took me a while to figure out who was with who. And
Oh, yeah.
I think that's because they were still figuring it out.
they were.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of like...
Especially with Nikki's character.
Oh,
Yeah.
true. And what I love about this movie is sometimes you have like teenagers getting cut apart, and I'm over that. But I love the idea of 20-year-olds just kind of getting out of university, just starting their lives, and it's like there's that little extra bit of like they have so much more potential that they haven't done yet. Like it's just more poignant.
Yeah, and they're always, it seems like they're already used to ribbing each other. There's a few outsiders in there that the main core group doesn't really know. A couple of outsiders there. That Texan guy, I can't remember his name.
Is he, Hank or Hal?
Hal, yeah.
Harv.
My name's Harvey. You can call me Hal.
Yeah.
Please don't call me Harv. Right?
And then there was Nan.
Yeah, and Nan was
Nan.
the other outsider, yeah.
Yeah, Nan was the more studious person
Yeah.
that, they were in the same classes together.
She knew Muffy from like arts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, again, this one does kind of telegraph things, but not in a way that's kind of obvious, at least not right away. I mean, it's April Fool's, and I knew a little bit about this movie going in, but they do mention Muffy was an actress.
Yeah.
So that kind of sets off some bells right off the bat. And then the outsiders kind of sitting and being invited too kind of sets off some things as
It's
well.
like she needed some extra people kicking around.
Yeah.
Kind of thing,
And like Nan comes in with like a whole bunch of luggage, and you're kind of wondering what's happening there, because she's really a lot different than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course they set up the pranks. And they're obviously
She's rigged this house to the nines.
Oh, they're
Love
awesome.
it.
Just the more fun pranks, you know, the breakaway chairs.
See, and I was about to mention that one because we were watching that, and Val laughed her ass off.
I
both
want
times
that
it
chair.
Yeah, it was funny to watch the pranks. The pranks were really good.
The lights. He's trying to turn off the lights. He turns off one light, another light turns on.
Oh, that was hilarious.
And then it loops right back around to the first light.
That's what I really missed about this one. Like in the remake, as we said, these guys don't seem to like each other as much, and they don't have fun with each other.
No,
you know, you don't have these lighthearted moments of just and you know that light thing comes at a point of tension where the character's a little upset
they're
about
having a fight.
Yeah, they're having a fight, and he's more mad at the situation than her.
Yeah.
And then that just lightens the mood entirely.
Exactly.
And it was just perfect placing.
And this was the other thing about it, too. Like, when they're talking about... This is what I hated. Like, the meanness of the prank in that other movie. I like has pranks you would try to make. Like, actual pranks.
These are pranks you would do on your friends, whereas the other ones are pranks to get something over on somebody.
Yeah.
They're done
or
with
to destroy someone's life. That's not a prank. That's a hateful crime.
They're doing it for personal gain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the cat. Those little cat clocks with the eyes
and putting it behind the painting with the
which
was
comes
genius.
back in the most amazing way.
Yeah. Oh no, when they do things, they don't waste
everything
it.
serves a purpose. Like the crying baby tape served a purpose.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, which was a little bit of a mean prank that went wrong.
Yeah,
well, it wasn't intended to be mean.
No, yeah, it was meant to be kind of creepy. So you got this tape of a crying baby playing in Nan's room.
Yeah,
and she's tracking it down and getting upset, and it turns out she's had an abortion. And I don't think this was something Muffy had.
Intent.
Yeah, Muffy didn't intend that, and it was something she didn't have foreknowledge of.
Well, she
apologizes at the end of the film.
which is what
after
brings
scared
forth,
the shit out of everybody.
which was what brings forth like why I don't hate these people.
Yeah. Well, at the end of I don't know how much I trust her at the end of this movie.
Oh no,
no, definitely not.
No,
because it gets meaner.
It gets real mean. But you know what? I think it's a testament to the fact that they'd known each other well enough by the end that they're like, okay, I can kind of forgive this because I get what you're getting at. But it's still hard.
Once I was in on the joke, it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the thing, is getting them in on the joke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which would be amazing. This is what I find. The only thing about the movie I kind of want to figure out or find out more about is how she convinced them to get on board when they already at this point think she might be a murderer. Like, if she's, like, pretending to kill them, she's like, okay, so it's just a joke, and we need to do this. Can you just step into this news for me? I would probably think twice.
Well, you know, you get the feeling, because every time we see a character disappear, it happens off camera.
Yep.
And then we see their bodies or body parts floating around or
this
whatever.
isn't a gory movie at all.
No, we do see body parts, but they show you the trick. It's like a magic trick, but we show you the props at the end of the film, which is really kind of cool. And then you got your final girl and Kit, who's the last to be, and of course she's going to be the most traumatized.
Yep.
Oh, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, and then at the end, I love her line. It's like, if one of you says April Fool's again, I'm going to fucking kill you. And then you have Arch and them going, April Fools.
Yeah, Kit's it takes a little bit longer to get on board. And then she gets her own last laugh to trying to the fake cutting of the throat.
Oh, no, that was Nan.
That was Nat? Mm-hmm. Oh, that was Nat. Oh, well, I wasn't sure. See, because they look so different at the end of the film because it was shot so much later that I didn't know who I was looking at.
See, what was weird was there was two things in this movie that made me think a little bit more.
Kit.
It should have been Kit. But what turned me in this movie, because at one point Arch is talking about he wants to sleep with the ladies this weekend, but he's like, I think there's one that's out of the game, and he's referring to Nan because he talks about her being in the arts. And I like the fact that, like, just being in the arts, man or woman, you're going to be gay. So but at the end, like, Nan snuck in and she gives her a kiss on the cheek. I'm like, I'm wondering if, like, Muffy and Nan hadn't had a thing.
It was a college experiment.
That's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, I like that angle. And that's something I probably would have put into a remake.
So, yeah.
I would have put that in a remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this first movie was so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
all the way through.
I miss the likability of the characters But it just didn't follow through in the second one, and that's what makes the second one so much harder to watch, is because you really you don't like anybody, and the only guy you do like is such a goof.
It's sort of missing the point.
He's just you almost feel. I actually in the second movie with Peter, I think I was only like 3 lines in on my notes, and I'm like, Peter may be mentally handicapped.
I think he is.
I'm like, there was something kind of wrong with him.
Well, I think he's a Forrest Gump character. He's dumb but lucky.
Yeah, and there's that scene where he's talking to his own picture in the office. And
instead of fixing his campaign, I thought he was actually just trying to duck the public in what was going on with all this shit a year later.
Yeah.
But in the end, he was just talking to himself.
Yeah, no, I think he's just dumb but lucky.
Yeah. That brings up my other beef about the second movie. And again, I still found it watchable, but I think it probably would have been more enjoyable if you weren't comparing it to the original film, because there is no comparison. There really isn't.
Yeah,
I understand why you're getting
they're
frustrated.
different movies.
They were wise to try to do something different. As I said,
they took it too far.
Yeah, you don't like anybody, so you don't care. And then when they do come back, you're kind of disappointed that they do.
Yeah, I think you know
I'm like,
what?
oh, they aren't dead. Well, shit.
I think if the movie had simply had a different title, I would be less upset, because then it would seem like it's just different.
Yeah, because I mean, really, the conceit of the April
Faking
Fool's
death.
joke, right? But my issue with the remake too is everybody was in on the joke
At the beginning.
At the beginning,
yeah,
right. And what made
I don't think Ryan was, because they were using his camera, and he seemed a bit upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
No, because they had all those pre-recorded videotapes of Desiree in his apartment, so he had to have been in on it.
That was after, but that could have been filmed throughout that whole year they were gone.
That's right. So that's what I mean.
But no, the initial prank in the coming.
Oh, in the initial prank, no,
he wasn't part of that.
No, he was definitely not part of it.
I mean, I think he
He
was
was
lumped in
supposed to
there
be.
because he was up the stairs at that point when Milan falls.
Even though he's the one who said, no, this is wrong. Like, he actually says that line, right? And Ryan, I didn't mind either, because he's always trying to do the right thing. He does have a moral compass, unlike the rest of the cast.
Until the end.
Until the end. Right?
Actually, there was something else that I really liked about the film that I thought was kind of clever. The main 3 girls, there was always a color palette to what they were wearing.
Oh, yeah.
And
That was the only thing I kind of
And that
liked.
was a nice tip-off with Torrance, because she's in white, you know, which... she's playing the most innocent character, and her outfits get darker as the film progresses, kind of projecting her turn.
Yeah.
Because she's the one who organizes all of this just to get Desiree to confess. It gets Blaine back his inheritance because he's been disgraced and removed as executor, because they find him most at fault for what happened. He doesn't serve any time or anything, but he's the one who's most at fault. Because he's wealthy. Yeah, and that sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that they were all in on it once like the prank on Desiree, it was all a setup for a prank on one person. In the original movie, one person, with the help of some other people, was playing a prank on all her friends, right? And they weren't in on the joke until they were quote unquote killed. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I love that idea.
Buffy was trying to make she was testing out a theory of trying to make a mystery house.
It's murder mystery weekend paintball. Is what it is. And once you're hit with the paintball, you're now part of the thing, which I love that idea.
So every time we saw the mysterious character come out of the dark, and then the scene cut, in between the shots, basically what was happening is they were explaining what's going on. Your body's going to be floating off of whatever. So, like, one of the guys...
We're going to hide you in this room.
The guy who gets hit by the fairy in the water earlier in the film, he's actually the special effects makeup guy.
Which is cool.
Which was Buck. And so he's the one that does all the special effects and built the body parts and things like that are floating in the well, and the heads and things. And obviously they're convincing, because the characters are convincing. They're freaking holding the head.
He's repurposed old props to make them look like them. But what's great is they also have that idea where it is a head and they're holding the head, but you can imagine you're so freaked out. It looks similar to your friend. You think it's your friend.
And it's dark enough too. Like you're looking at a well. There's no good lighting. You're seeing a skip float underneath the dock. You know, you're seeing suggestions of it, but you know,
your mind fills in the blanks.
Your mind's filling in all the blanks.
And that disgusting well water Another thing I learned watching the Q&A.
It was disgusting.
It was disgusting because
they dyed it and then they just wound up dumping all their shit in
yeah, she dumped, like, they were dumping their cigarettes in it, and the woman, Deborah, I can't remember, Deborah, what's her face, she had a 3-week ear infection because of that really contaminated water.
Yeah. Deborah Foreman.
No, Deborah, it's the other Deborah.
Sorry. The other Deborah. Deborah Foreman was Muffy.
She was the one who
Deborah Goodrich.
Deborah Goodrich,
Nikki.
yeah.
You're right, Nikki. It was Nikki.
Poor girl had like a 3-week ear infection afterwards. Yeah. That's some dedication, guys.
It was, yes. And she was definitely my favorite. And Nikki, I really liked Nikki.
Yeah. They were all really good. And then you have Deborah Foreman, who's doing a Buffy Muffy thing, like she's being her own evil twin.
Yeah,
they talk about typical rich bitch name,
Yeah,
Muffy
and Buffy.
Yeah. So the gag is Muffy's been replaced with Buffy. Buffy's the twin sister. She even rigs up like some photos, and where they measure each other on the walls, that old thing.
The photo
my
was
folks
real
did that
from their childhood, but it was her and her brother, not her and her sister.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all these little hints that there's a sister that nobody knows about, and then they find some documents from a mental institution.
Yeah, in the boat where the police are supposed to be there.
Where they're not. And so the hints slowly start piecing together that, there might be an escaped sister from a mental asylum.
But Muffy wasn't in an institution for 3 years. She was at Vassar.
Yeah. And meanwhile,
that was awesome.
Muffy, who's pretending to be Buffy, has changed her demeanor. She's kind of spacey now. After the first night, she's really spaced out.
Stringy hair.
And the more dowdy costuming that she was in. The only tip-off that it's not two different people is her nails are always red.
Yes. Yeah, that was the one thing at the end. I'm like going, if you're going to go for it, Muffy, you got to get rid of the manicure.
Yeah.
That's my only note for your B&B. That's a murder mystery.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was some foreshadowing right at the beginning there when she's propping open that window, and I'm like, that's going to play when it does, right? And I didn't know where it was going to play, but you knew it's a setup for something like some sort of April Fool's joke, right? Mm-hmm. And then when they come sliding through the door through that window at the end of the movie to get into the house, right? Mm-hmm. She had established that as so there was the only point of entry, so they'd find that those details, right?
Yeah, because they had to go back.
Really well thought out.
Yeah. And you got to be on it to be able to manipulate the people to get them from point to point to point.
Well, what was it? I was listening to another podcast, the Crack podcast, where they're talking about like plot holes, and the one thing that they talk about is how like a lot of the murderers might be great interior designers because interior designers know how to lead your eye somewhere. And I'm like, that's what she's great at. She knows how to lead their eye and manipulate them to see what they need to see.
Yeah.
It's really great. Like, that's smart. Muffy's smart.
No, she was brilliant at putting this all together.
Yeah, no, it was extremely well put together. She set everything up to perfection. Like she planned everything out. And I mean, I love the fact that
not everything worked. Like we said, the baby tape
backfired a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. And then when Arch gets caught in the trap, there's the snake.
Yeah. And they had to kick. It was Buck that kicks that aside.
Yeah.
And saves him.
And how he browned his trousers a bit. But I get it. You're hanging as a snake is biting at you.
Yeah, and I mean, it looked okay until Buck steps down, and I'm like, oh, that looks like a set.
Yeah, it was.
The ground buckles. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that didn't look too good. But that I think that was the only part of the film. I'm like, that you should have reshot that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not a big budget for this film.
No, well, honestly, $5 million for 1986,
an ensemble piece.
$5 million for 2008. Just saying.
That says a lot, though.
Yeah,
it's just like
$5 million in 1986 is more money.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about that new one.
Yeah. They spent all that money on their freaking cars.
No shit, eh?
Yeah, and renting the mansions and stuff. They
spent it all on location. I'm sure these were all fairly young actors coming out of either indies or just background actors. Mm-hmm. So they're probably really cheap, probably working for just a little over scale. Maybe
if not
just
scale.
I think just scale, yeah.
Because, I mean, everything the Butcher Brothers have done up to this point has been pretty low budget, so...
Yeah, and I mean they've proven that they know how to work within a small budget and turn out quality.
And do some fairly high concept ideas with low budget. This actually was one of their cleanest looking films, and I think where it actually works against them.
Yeah, no. They should focus more on story.
If it had been a little grittier, characters had been a little more likable.
Yeah. If you don't have likable characters, you're not going to give two shits what happens.
Yeah, and like just a completely better setup would have helped.
They're all
immensely
so self-involved.
Yeah, no, they should
better connection between characters, even like just changing the backgrounds of the characters.
The main joke is that, hey, they're not dead, but you really want them to be.
I know. When I saw them alive, my disappointment.
I've been never so upset to see a bunch of assholes alive in all my life. Except for Ryan.
Yeah, and the one.
But they made him. They really made him look like a dick at the end, like he's some psycho stalker. I mean, but that was all put on for the gag.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the one character you're starting to like, you're actually starting to like Desiree because she's been put under all this pressure, and you're starting to see the cracks through her veneer, and then. She's the one who dies.
Oh yeah,
right
through a blank. They're shooting blanks. They shot a blank at Blaine. See, it's just blanks, and then she shoots, and her head gets fucking blown off. And then as they're driving away, you see Blaine slowly crack a smile as he's got the estate back. So obviously he switched a bullet somewhere. But the problem is they don't establish anything. Like he's nowhere near that movie set where she probably would have got the prop gun in the first place.
Yeah,
that bothered me. Because there's usually in the first movie, you can place people at certain places and points, which facilitate something later. You might not notice it happening, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Whereas Blaine's never close to that movie set.
No, he never is. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the opportunity for him to swap out that.
You just don't see it.
You just don't see it. You're right. And he was taking a risk too because he had multiple squibs on him. Right.
Yeah.
So if she had fired a second time. He would have gotten the bullet. So it's a huge gaping hole.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, I like the fact that they did try to put a twist on the twist.
Yeah.
Right?
It is certainly shocking when it happens because you're starting to like Desiree at this point.
Yeah, and I actually did holy shit and then started to laugh. But
yeah, I did too.
So I mean, it was one of the high points of the film until you sort of analyze it and go, "Wow, wait a minute! There's how the heck did that happen?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it had been a true accident, could have bought it, right?
Yeah.
But for them to add the added element of Blaine being behind it somehow,
and they don't say that outright.
But they suggest it.
There's a suggestion of it. And maybe it was just an accident, a happy accident for him, and that's why he's smiling.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, why the good part of that. I like ambiguous endings, so I kind of dig that. Well, could be this, could be that, but
I don't know.
Either way, he got what he wanted. So
yeah, either way, yeah. And Trish is just hating it. She hates it all the way through.
I just hate this movie.
It's okay. You're allowed to hate it.
I can get. Here's the thing: like you can get hurt with a blank. That's the whole thing is like the actress doesn't know that. I'm like, I could see her getting injured. Like I would have liked it better if it had been like sort of like John Eric Hexum. He had a blank and got killed with that. I could see that if they'd gone that way, I might have been like, she's just in a coma or dead.
You know what? I'm going to run the trailer for that one to really get Trish mad. And we'll be right back.
Hated this movie. Hated it.
We are so proud to host your debutante ball, which I think you'll find will change your life forever. Cheers.
April Fool's Day.
What's so funny?
What happened to your mouth? April Fools.
A time for friends.
It's so nice to see you. You look divine.
When did you get the nerve and ask her out?
Who's that, Milan? You?
Hey.
A time for pranks.
You know, how do I know you're not up to another one of your little tricks?
What's wrong?
Champagne's hitting me pretty hard.
But on this night,
April Fool's Day,
the gag is about to turn. Dead serious. Now,
Miss Cartier, I found this at the door earlier this morning.
1 year later.
Dear friends, a year has passed since my tragic death. I was hoping one of you would accept responsibility.
6 friends must stand together.
If my murderer doesn't come forward, each one of you will die throughout the course of this April Fool's Day.
If they want to survive.
Hey, you think it's a joke?
You're the expert, right? If the person who killed Milan doesn't come forward, then any one of us could be next. Ryan, who's to say any of us killed him? Whoever this is could be bluffing or crazy. Sounds to me like you're the ones hiding something.
It's not Ryan. He's dead.
Get her out of here!
We need to call the cops.
Someone's trying to set us up. Neither one of us killed Milan.
You're lying.
And we're back. That was April Fools from 2008 by the Butcher Brothers. As I said, $5 million on this one as well, which is interesting because they had less money to play with. But I don't know. I mean,
I think it's like you say. I think it's all spent on like mansions and cars.
These guys come from the Indies. They're probably good at beg, borrowing, and stealing because they had some good locations. I gotta say. But yeah, I got some good locations for student film by beg, borrowing, and other things. Mostly begging.
Jay sold his body and his soul.
No, I was the producer. I sold somebody else's body.
And he doesn't have a soul, so he can't sell that either.
So are producers pimps?
No, we're just soulless monsters.
Oh, okay. Much like our previous episode of Meet the Beatles.
Last week on Invasion of the Remake.
No, it looked really good. I think part of what made this film kind of challenging to watch is when you watch something like this, you want shadows and a little bit of darkness.
It's really bright.
And it is really bright and colorful. I mean, you mentioned the correlation of the colors between each of the female characters, and
but that's a costuming choice, and which I appreciated.
Oh, I like that part.
Some nice subtext in there. Their colors kind of represented their personalities.
Yeah, and I did enjoy that. That was actually a really nice little trick, for lack of a better way of putting it. But the fact that it was so bright all the time was distracting. Even in Ryan's scungy little apartment, it still seemed overly well lit.
Well, I mean, I guess part of maybe it's just because the remake wasn't timed as well, because April Fools is coming out at the tail end of a huge run of slasher movies. So they're really working towards making it look like that. Whereas in 2008, I'm not sure what they were trying to use as source to whatever they wanted to look like, because slashers certainly weren't a thing. In fact, horror was barely a thing. The most biggest franchise would have been Saw. That's not this.
What they were talking about, and people make delusions, it's very close to like the look of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
But even that had that darkness and the gloom and
but
shadows,
maybe that was the thing they were trying to do. Like in the original, that's the fun bit about the original, is like a lot of the stuff happens during the day. Yes. It's a daytime.
I'd like to say the Butcher Brothers were avoiding tropes, and I'm okay with a daytime horror movie. That's fine. But I'd like to say that they were avoiding tropes, but like all the characters were so full of them. They were so stereotype.
Yeah.
What average people think of rich people.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I love a daytime horror, especially if it like really emphasizes like your the terror, right? And it worked in the original movie because you have this terror occurring during the daytime.
Oh yeah,
right.
I actually felt like the characters
You're
in
out
the
in the
original
sunshine.
film. I felt there was more jeopardy to the characters in the original film.
And you know what? One of my other beefs too is a lot of the quote unquote deaths in the remake felt very Final Destination.
It feels like a Final Destination.
Yeah, well, it's really weird.
Movie.
Yeah, when Barbie gets electrocuted. Like,
that wasn't a planned death. That was an accidental death.
That's an accidental death. They show you the sparking and she's alive.
What happens with that vase? Does it just collapse?
And nobody's around when it happens.
Yeah.
So why didn't we just see her dump it and then lie on the floor?
Yeah. It was a setup for Desiree, because the bottom fell out to set it up for Desiree, because she saw at the bottom of the vase fall the water on the floor, so she could see how the accident could happen.
The pranked vase. Yeah. All the elements are there, I guess, if you see the sparking of the wires.
It feels very Final Destination.
But they're trying to make you buy it.
But why show us as an audience of her getting electrocuted when she doesn't? But should have,
because they want you to buy it. They're trying to make you buy.
I honestly don't know
these deaths. like they did in the first one, but not as successfely.
And that's
But the point of the first one is it happens off camera. That's why we buy the death.
Yeah, you show those elements and then break away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if
then
you
have her
it off
lying on the
camera,
floor or hear the and the scream.
Yeah.
And you do hear that from the other perspective, but we don't need to see that as an audience because we need to have that plausible as deniability as well. Yeah. We need to think that characters died because we need to ride on the shoulders of Desiree.
And that's the thing.
And that's why the original film works. You're riding on the shoulders of Kit and Rob.
You're perceiving it as they're perceiving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's totally how and that's why it worked. Because I was thinking, again, the drowning death of the...
Yeah, why are we watching that?
Yeah, why we didn't need to see that.
No.
Right.
And again, nobody's around. It was just so... I mean, Ryan shoots it. Why was Ryan watching it? Why did they have footage of him drowning in his pool where a
I
dog
thought it was because the killer did it.
Yeah, and setting up some toy dog on the bottom of the pool. Like, there seems to be a lot of nonsense setup.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not.
Right.
That isn't going to drive the characters elsewhere.
No.
Or the character, the only one who needs to be driven.
The only one, yeah. That doesn't drive her anywhere other than the fact that there he is floating on the pool.
Yeah.
And poor guy's probably been floating out there for hours waiting for them. Why haven't they got here yet?
Well, no, because they would have the car that with Ryan and
which is pretty risky for a guy who can't swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, he set that. Oh no, because that
happened a year earlier where they had no reason to set it.
See, and this is what you could have. This is why the original also works better, is because it's not those people in the well. It's the effects guy who put in a dummy in a few heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy shouldn't be floating in the pool waiting for his buddies. It should be a cold dummy.
Did they spend the next year trying to teach him how to swim? Is that what happened?
Maybe, I don't know, but you're right. It should be a cold dummy. It should be a dummy, right?
Yeah.
That way, when it falls into the pool and lays on the bottom, they can sit there for hours looking at it.
They do
and it's
mention
fine.
they had a special effects guy from her film set, Torrance's film set.
But they don't use him very much.
No, you barely see him. He's running pranks at the craft services
and
table.
I did like the snake joke in there. I did that little homage
nice nod
to the movie. I mean, at least they tried.
That was at least a nice homage to the original.
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, I liked Wilford in this too. He was he was the butler.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did you do this? You're a bitch.
Yeah. He was the only other bright light. He's like, do I need any much more motivation than that?
Nope. You're so fired.
God, I would have loved a version of this movie where Wilford would get the inheritance if both the children were dead. And he's just killing everybody.
It doesn't make a lot of sense that Blaine, maybe because he's the sole survivor, maybe that's why he only gets to be the executor and control the family fortune again. But he's now been implicated in another wrongful death.
Yes.
I know.
Although he was tied up in the chair.
But that's the thing. It's weird.
But Jesus.
You can get past... What's funny is what's supposed to happen with the wealthy people is you don't really get cleared in these wrongful death things. They never go to trial. They shouldn't have had 2 trials.
No.
That's what shouldn't have happened.
No, they really shouldn't have. I mean,
Torrance was the one who was put on trial.
Yeah, because she's the one who pulled the trigger on the gun. But again,
and she's acquitted.
Yeah, it's the more we talk about this movie, the more I'm on Trish's side.
You know, I enjoyed watching it, but when you start breaking it down, boy, does it not hold up.
Yeah. See, I mean, I would have liked to it if they'd really leaned into having it be a traditional slasher and not had the April Fool's joke at the end. I think it could have been enjoyable.
They were trying to darken it up to be more legitimate horror, and I think that's part of the argument of the first one was the people watching it, the horror fans that got brought in, and then nobody dies.
Mm-hmm.
But this one had 2 deaths. I don't know. That's what I liked about it. I liked that it was a horror movie that played a trick on me that wasn't actually a horror movie. That's what I liked about it.
Well, that was the original. There's one thing. The other thing I learned today listening to the Q&A is there was a sequel that somebody had wrote, and it was Deborah, the other Deborah, not Deborah Foreman, but Deborah
Goodrich.
Deborah Goodrich.
Nikki.
She was talking about a script somebody had sent her so many years later. where it was her and Chaz had gotten married, and they bought an old porn theater in New York City.
I read that too.
And so they were married, but then his like nephew comes along, and then a whole thing starts up again because they're trying to convert it into a B&B.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would have paid to see that movie. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is this particular conceit only works well once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the problem the Butcher Brothers had going into it, I think, is it only works well once. They couldn't really do a straight-up remake because everybody would go, well, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Right? So they tried to do something different. It didn't work.
Yeah, kudos for doing something different. But, I mean, when you... the biggest failing is not being able to
You know what?
care about these characters.
The more I'm thinking about it, when we're talking about manipulating somebody to an end place, to an end thing, it was done better before and once before, and it was it The Game with Michael Douglas?
That was really well done.
That is what I think they wanted, and it didn't. This is what happened.
Well, wasn't the original...
Because they're trying to manipulate it.
The killer in the house manipulation kind of theme, wasn't that the same year as Clue?
Yes.
It was Clue.
No, it was Clue was a year before. It was 85.
85, so pretty much 2 in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, but Clue never pretended to be a horror movie.
It was always a comedy.
Yeah, it was definitely a comedy.
Yeah.
And it was one of those amazing ones where they had many different endings.
Hey Trish, this might make you happy even though you're not a comic book reader. Clue is coming out as a comic book with Dynamite, and
I would read that.
They're going to have multiple endings.
Nice.
So they'll have different issues with different endings.
Nice. Well, they were talking about remaking Clue, and I'm like, it's such a tricky one to try and do again.
It was on the list when we did the list.
Yeah. And you know what? If they don't try to remake the movie that we've already seen, but try to make it more like a murder mystery.
Like an actual murder mystery,
then
yeah.
It could be fun.
They should be looking at the 1986 April Fool.
That's what I'm thinking. I would love that.
As a bit of a roadmap for it.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities for misdirect. And
except you actually have to have people die.
Yeah. Right. I mean, April Fool's is a great example of movies that do misdirect well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The remake, not so much.
No, it's everything. Even when you're driven from place to place, you do kind of see things coming.
Yeah.
And it's sort of when you're talking about peril in the original, they're stuck on an island, and when you're talking about this remake, they're going all over the city.
Yeah.
And it feels very scattered.
And it really, I mean, guys are dying in their offices and dying in very mundane ways. It doesn't feel like they're being chased, even though they all got a fairly threatening letter.
Yeah.
When they were at the gravesite of Milan, and it's the letters in Milan's voice. You can stop this by just the killer admitting it, and that was the whole thing, to get Desiree to say something, and so that's why people start getting knocked off. But it just seems kind of they're all dying in mundane ways. It's not because they're in jeopardy. Every now and again you see this blonde figure flashing in the background or the foreground.
Yeah.
Or driving the van.
Yeah.
Like the guy in I Know What You Did Last Summer, like the guy in the raincoat.
Yeah.
But except this time it's a blonde wig.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's too scattered. Like it's
no
trying to
point
be too many things, I think.
Yeah, the characters seem to be in jeopardy, but I don't feel it.
Well,
as
soon as you saw the figure in the blonde wig, you knew it was Torrance.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even if you had not seen the original movie, you would have known it was Torrance.
Yeah. And she's so bad at threatening in a vehicle, by the time she gets to the film set, she hasn't taken off the fucking wig yet.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
That really irritated me. Like, and you still don't know Desiree? She's taking off the blonde wig.
Yeah.
I know, right?
She even says, you look like Milan. You're still not on board?
Yeah.
You still don't know what's going on?
I know.
Yeah, no, it's...
At every point, somebody one of the kids is the killer until they die. So everybody suspects everybody else. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, they set it up so you suspect Ryan.
Yeah,
right?
So there's paranoia.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a bit of a motivation.
But the only person who needs to believe it is Desiree. Whereas in the original, everybody has to believe it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And that's what makes it so much more fun.
Yeah. No, they're gradually brought on board as the characters die, but they're not on board until that moment.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of sells it, is everybody feels the jeopardy.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's in on this one.
And they're trying to figure out who it is, and they're like, oh, maybe it was like so-and-so, and then they make the call. No, he's still in the hospital, and they're like, oh my God, who could it be?
Mm-hmm.
The original is far superior. I don't hate this original one anywhere near as much as Trish did.
No, I don't hate this remake either. Like I said, I'm a fan of the Butcher Brothers, but yeah, this one misses the mark.
The more we talk about it, the more I realize they really did miss the mark.
It needs more script work, a lot more script work.
But they're still young filmmakers and still learning. I think there's a couple of really great filmmakers here, but
they have a great eye. Everything looked spectacular, and there were some good concepts in here.
Sure.
It's just
need to be tightened up for sure.
Need to be tightened up, yeah.
Just a lot of gaping holes that got to be filled.
Yeah, one of my favorite characters, the moron.
Yeah,
that's who I was grabbing on for. He's just really entertaining. But I wanted more of him. Yeah. just being completely clueless around all this shit that's going on.
Yeah, I would love for him to not be in on the joke.
Yeah,
right. Even at the end, it would have been much better if he was not in on the joke.
Yeah,
yeah.
That would have added a little bit more.
She's dead, and he'd be like going, "Oh, how did you do that? Is that tomato sauce?"
Yeah,
yeah. Something like that would have been great.
Or him not being on the joke is like there's a like having a press conference as like a politician. There's a killer out there, like not realizing it's the dumbest thing ever.
Yes, exactly. I think that would have added a lot to this film.
He didn't get enough time.
Yeah,
he really didn't.
He really was the one bright light.
And it would have been nice because the one thing I really like about 80s horror films in general is they're not everybody in there is like super pretty. They're real looking people.
Yeah, that's what I really appreciated too. Is these look like normal people.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure there are ugly rich people too.
Yeah, exactly. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you have to be beautiful.
No,
right?
These look like normal people.
Yeah. Right, and whereas you look at this movie and everybody's
underwear
fucking
models.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
right? Bunch of underwear models.
I love the 80s style though as well. Like some of the outfits, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty much sure I wore that. I'm pretty sure I wore that.
But yeah,
I've definitely worn that.
We talked about this before that there was a recent one we did where they didn't cast a bunch of the CW wannabes, and we really enjoyed it because they stepped away from that trend of making everybody beautiful because not everybody is.
And you can still be attractive and look normal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like Milan, she totally looks like a runway model, super thin and long legs, gorgeous hair. She's just, everything about her was like she came off a runway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much. When
everybody was just... Boys and girls were all they're all pretty people.
And I don't know if it's just me, but do you sometimes find it when you're watching a movie and everybody's too attractive, all the faces kind of blend together?
Yes.
And I have trouble telling people apart.
I actually did have a bit of a trouble for the first third of this movie for April Fool's 2008. I really did have a tough time trying to figure out who's who and who's for a while there, the gossip guy, I thought that was Blaine.
Yeah,
because she's hanging on to he's hanging on to Desiree more like a sibling would, and then Blaine's off talking about knives. I'm like, oh wait, he's the one that actually lives in the house. What's going on?
Yeah. Like well,
took me a while.
They blend too much, but when you have people who are not like what you say, not runway model, but they're still attractive, but like there's that unique thing they have about them. Then I get a sense of who people are a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got three guys all with dark hair and chiseled jaws.
Yeah.
Same cut, like the preppy cut. It was really tough to, thank God the one guy was a moron. And the only way I could pick him out of a crowd.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, you buy certain characters being beautiful. Like Blaine was supposed to be a sexual predator. Like he's a guy who's betting as many women as he can. Right?
He's had sexual misconduct charges against him prior to this.
The girls look disappointed when he gets pulled out of the room and he's working on two of them.
Yeah. So
and I'm looking at this guy, I'm like going, no, just like he should be in jail. He's a terrible human being.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand the use of beautiful people in films, but not everybody in the cast has to be.
No. And like people are beautiful in different ways. There's people like I find just attractive,
I felt
but I can't
Torrance
figure it out
was
why.
the most normal looking of the bunch.
Yes.
She had a unique look.
Which is funny because she's the actress of the bunch and probably should have been one of the even
I thought it was supposed
ones.
to be Milan was supposed to be the actress. That confused me for a while.
Yeah. But, that's fine. Because the way they handled Torrance was pretty good, so...
Yeah, no, there are aspects of the film that worked. It's just really the biggest failing is the unlikability of everybody and the
Just seen some more work on that script.
Yeah.
A lot more work on that
tightening
script.
things up.
Mm-hmm.
And
I actually would have I'd like to see
more
with the
work.
first draft when it was more of a straight up remake. Where I'd like to see what that draft would have looked like. It might have been a better draft in my
Maybe.
mind.
I'm thinking it probably would have been, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be on an island, but you needed that isolation.
You need the enclosure of it, and plus, if you're going to believe that somebody's taking out people, I find it's more real jeopardy if they're sort of isolated, and it's easier to manipulate. Like, I can believe it's a April Fool's joke when I can manipulate a single setting. Like, I could believe that Muffy could do this because one house, you can move a lot of stuff around and it's easier to buy that this whole plan is going to come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. You need that sense of isolation and closure too, because when
so much
quote,
more
unquote,
can go
bodies
wrong.
start showing up, right? People are going to call police.
Yeah, how are you not controlling the public?
Yeah,
like there's so much more that can go wrong in that kind of setting.
And when
well.
you're outside, there's like some random person who's on the street who may be like, "Oh my God, I just saw this van do something," and they're calling the cops. And right there, your plan has gone to shit.
Yeah. Actress Taylor Torrance Caldwell has been arrested for
vehicular manslaughter. Yeah, so you've got to enclose it. You got to take out as many of foreign elements as possible.
Yeah, the fewer variables you have, the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah. Even if the body doesn't wind up being a body, she's still going to get arrested for erratic driving.
Yeah. There's still going to be phone calls and people you can't because they talk about
public nuisance.
The policeman in the original is not the real policeman.
No,
he's her uncle.
Yeah, he's not a cop at all.
Yeah, and
the boat came off a set, I think.
Yeah, it was all designed to create the illusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
the only guy who was legit was the ferry guy.
Yeah.
He was actually the ferry guy.
Yeah, it's funny. It's my first acting role. How'd I do?
Yeah. Like he's legit. He's like, I didn't know what to do. Like he's like, I don't know. Like he was adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good, and it was a really fun, lighthearted ending at the with the original. Whereas, the remake they tried to go darker with the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I really like the upbeat ending of the original, despite the fact it was supposed to have a darker ending.
It was supposed to.
So, although the other alternate ending that I never actually did say was, it's similar to where she get her throat cut with a fake knife, except it was Skip instead of Nan. So, not that changes anything. It was just her.
I don't know.
Her brother played a prank on her, and he was the jokey one. So it could have been any of those characters, and it would have totally made sense because they're all probably wanting a little comeuppance on her. But it still was an upbeat ending. She didn't actually have her throat cut, so it was the same ending, just with a different character.
I think it changes slightly because with Nan, it feels like it's more like just a relationship between like Muffy and Nan. But with Skip,
it's a potential threat.
Well, no, but with Skip doing that, it would be more like, well, you would get a feel like maybe they are siblings and maybe this was just their life. They were pulling these pranks from when they were children.
He would have been the one. He was the one getting the most heat for Buck's getting hit by the boat and the disfigurement of his face.
Yeah.
So he was the one getting the heat. So I could see maybe him getting a little comeuppance on that, having to take the heat for that. Especially considering he wouldn't have known at the beginning.
No.
I guess he might have been
to be fair,
in a joke-rated way.
Yeah, he had to be because he set it all up, right?
Yeah, he had to be.
At the ending, Buck was the one who wanted to do it from the water, so I'm sorry, it was Buck's own fault.
He was the stunt guy.
Yeah, exactly. So nobody can whine. Buck's like, I'll do it from the water. Yeah, you did it from the water, you idiot. Your fault. I'm sorry.
Dumb ass.
Yeah. Yeah, and for them to not realize that was kind of hard to overlook, but still something you could overlook, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's funny that they're starting the whole weekend on that bummer note where somebody got horribly disfigured on their way out.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a bold move for a script.
Yeah, and it set the tone for their entire weekend, right? Because they never do really relax.
No.
Right? Like that first night when they're sort of sitting there, they're all kind of tense because of what happened. Even with the jokes, with the breakaway chair and stuff like that, they're still all tense.
Ooh, the mini sex scene with Nan and Chaz, where it's like all legs and arms, and you're like, what
Not with Nan.
What position?
No, that was Nikki.
No, Nikki. What position is that even? You're just like,
I don't know. It seemed like
it's complicated, overly complicated.
Too many appendages were hanging out on that one.
Yeah. It was funny though because it made the scene funny because
yeah. And there's just who is what's his name? Arch walks in and then
slowly walks back out.
They look up for a second, get back to it.
Just keep going.
I love that little beat. It's what you needed at that moment.
Yeah, and they do a great job in the original of taking the tension and then just adding that little light moment in it because it is an April Fool's joke, and you need those little breaks from the tension to make the next bit of tension that much more tense.
Yeah, because if this is a send-off of slasher movies, you got to have comedic moments.
Yes.
Oh, and I think that was part of the send-off is they always had to have a sex scene, so they decided to put one in, but it wasn't serious.
No.
Nope, it wasn't.
Oh, you want tits in a sex scene? This is what we're going to do.
Yeah. And they don't show her tits.
No.
You get some skin, but no tits.
Nope.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some skin and a lot of limbs.
Yep. Legs everywhere.
Yeah, that's some heavy duty yoga.
Yeah, kudos to them for like contorting themselves into that position for that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, if somebody coughed, it would have been Meet the Feebles all over again.
Yep.
It would have had a head up an ass somewhere. Just could have been so wrong.
Yep. But yeah, like it was weird. It's like a who's who of 80s movies when you look at everybody in this movie.
Yeah, actually another one, it was, I don't know why I found it so damn funny. They get to the big inn cabin that she's going to turn into the theme. And he picks up, ooh, sporks.
Yes.
You've really
fancy. You've gotten everything. Sporks.
They bring out dinner and it's like pork and beans. He's like, oh, Buffy, you've never made a man look more forward to dessert.
Yeah, it was definitely a very lighthearted moments in this in the original, and there was none of that in.
Yeah, is it a comedy or is it a horror movie?
Yeah.
It's both.
I think it's both. We've got lots of horror comedies now, so I think it's kind of sits in there where it's got the fun moments and the tension really works when it needs to, and the other one's just dark all the way through.
Yeah, hardcore dark.
Yeah, except for Peter.
Yeah.
The dumbass gives me the comedic beats, but not enough of them.
No.
Not enough of them.
No. Yeah, they don't know what they were. I think like you say, I think that remake, it was just so all over the place with the tone and what they were doing. Like,
no, I think they were pretty consistent with their tone.
At some points it's Final Destination. At some points it's I Know What You Did Last Summer. At some points it's,
and that was part of their problem was there was a wagon train of slasher movies and they knew what their course was. Horror was far less defined in 2008.
Maybe, yeah, but everything seemed like
they were trying to mash a lot of it in because here's some of the camera first person stuff.
Yeah,
that was there, and then so you have some of that Blair Witch, a Paranormal Activity kind of stuff with the camera work.
Well, I would say more screamish, but yeah,
sure, whatever you want to do. You know, they're pulling from some of the more modern things.
Had like stuff with cameras and people being filmed.
So the Final Destination thing that probably was an inspiration because that was popular at the time. You couldn't really do Saw. You probably could do this with Saw, but sorry about tearing your arms off, but, you know, it was part of the joke.
Yeah.
Get it? Can't clap.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what you could have done to make that the remake better aside from...
No, you know what? Timing was just bad for that film because if you're going to modernize it by pulling from modern horror... It was all over the place.
Yeah, it's not going to work like that.
It was still, horror was just kind of still scraping itself back up. And it's even, you still couldn't do it because it's even getting more complex right now because we're breaking away from franchises and or potentially starting new ones now with different things succeeding now, some really out of the box ideas.
Yeah.
So... what do you do? I mean, I guess you could go ghost stuff because that was been the trend for the last few years is, you know, the paranormal ghosty stuff.
Maybe that was the point. Maybe it should never have been trying to be a horror. Maybe it should have just been of trying to be a thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they did try to play the ghost angle with it, too.
Yeah, like, I mean, if they made it more like a thriller, like The Game, it probably would have been better than it would have if they're trying to do a horror.
You know what? If
They were just doing the wrong genre.
Yeah, if they hadn't presented it as a remake, even that would have made it a lot better.
10 times better.
Right? Because even though it's clearly inspired by the original and has elements from the original, a few I will.
I think the main plot is there.
Yeah,
they're different characters, and the way you get
and the motivations are different.
The motivations are certainly different, but the main gist of manipulating people through these fake deaths to get from point to point to point with all these clues. That's all kind of there. It's just not really well presented in the
no, and it's it's clear why.
And those clues are tenuous at best.
Yes.
Oh, they're bad.
No, you can see why it went direct to video. Is the studio went, oh no, this is a freaking mess.
Yeah,
it's good enough to go to video, but we're not going to risk putting it in the theaters.
Yeah,
it's not worth the distribution cost at that point.
Yeah, just wrong genre, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it definitely needed more time to gestate, or maybe it should have been closer to a straight up remake. It might have been worked better, but it's okay. It's not great.
It's no Hard Rock Zombies.
I would certainly rewatch the original again. I'm good on this the other one. If I did, it was just to see these pretty people again.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll watch the Hamiltons for the guy who played Peter over.
Yeah, like I say, I might look into that
one.
Thompson's one you were talking about, just because I got to see something that these guys have done that isn't this.
You can see the progression as filmmakers from those two films.
See, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, for sure. But for low budget indie guys, they're putting. At least their original idea is a little more interesting. So
see, that's maybe that's it. You know how we talk about some people who do bad at like remakes, but their original material is better, or people who are bad at original material, but the remakes are better.
Yeah,
because there are those people.
And I said, I think I said when we did the Halloween episode, I mean, Rob Zombie faltered from that as well. I think he did try to make it his own, but you're working off somebody else's script, and it didn't feel like Rob Zombie anymore. It felt like somebody else. So.
When it's your own voice, it's better sometimes.
Yeah, and you're right. Some writer-directors are better at their own material. They just can't escape their own voice.
Mm-hmm.
Although, Rob, sorry, 31, you probably should have. Did not like that one. I think that might be the first zombie movie I didn't like. But.
I have not seen that one yet. So
no, I haven't.
It's all right.
I didn't realize it was a zombie movie.
It is, yeah. Save yourself the pain.
I might watch it during 31 Days of Horror this year.
Maybe,
That's right.
Do it on the 31st.
Yeah. It's we're only in April here, but we're already thinking about 31 Days of Horror. We obviously really enjoy doing it.
Well, looking at some of the old 80 ones I haven't seen, I've got to get back into it.
Yeah.
Like this one wasn't in my block because I had seen it before.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. But yeah, there's a few other ones I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'll probably sneak some classics in there or some older movies. I don't know about classics, but I went very indie this year, and I might keep doing that.
There's some amazing indie ones out there.
Really enjoying the indie scene, and I've got a huge stack of indies sitting here, so it's probably going to be indies again.
I have to say, like, I think in some instances with like horror, there's like we're getting to an area where there's some amazing stuff happening, like more of a golden age of indie. Some of the big stuff isn't really tickling my fancy anymore for horror, but the indie stuff really is doing it for me.
You know why? Because indie horror allows them to do what they envision, not what a studio envisions.
Yeah.
They're not going, well, give us a franchise.
And again, not too many pretty people that I can't tell them apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at some of the breakouts that we've had recently that, we probably didn't see coming. Don't Breathe. And Get Out most recently.
Get Out, so good.
Yeah.
So, it's some new ideas are happening, and
wonderful
it's
ideas.
Really reinvigorating horror as a genre as a whole, I think, and we're seeing some really great stuff out. And I'm glad studios are taking risks in bringing them out and releasing them. So I mean, they're probably just picking up indies from film festivals, but they're smart enough to recognize that horror goes through cycles, and
and we're getting into another good age of it right now.
Yeah, I think we're getting some really great stuff happening right now. We may have not seen this many clever horror movies since probably the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, all I know is I just want the found footage phenomenon to go the fuck away.
I think it's kind of gone already. Paranormal Activity is not doing what it used to, so I don't think it's going to go away, but it's faded. And I did have a couple of found footage ones in my last go round, and
one was good and one was
the
good.
Houses October built.
I really enjoyed that one.
That one was really good.
Yeah.
I have seen that one, and that one
because of the conceit of what it was. Found footage is the only way it makes sense.
Yes, and that's it showed what a found footage.
Well, these guys took a documentary idea and then turned it into a found footage movie, and it worked. That's great. I really enjoyed it.
Which, that's the whole thing. You just have to figure out what you're doing with it, and you can make it make sense.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to make the footage make sense, because that's my issue with most found footage movies is, why is there still footage of this? Why are you recording when you should be running?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. And that's why I don't enjoy them. Right?
Yeah.
The first Paranormal Activity worked because it was the way the cameras were set up. It wasn't handheld. Somebody.
Yeah, you're breaking away from handheld to in-house monitors to.
Well, to be fair, when you look at the original, like Blair Witch, the whole idea was it was supposed to be a documentary on the Blair Witch.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why Blair Witch worked as well.
So when you're stepping away from that conceit, that's where it kind of gets a little iffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you've got a bunch of pretty people walking into a house, filming every single thing that they see, and even when they're being chased, I'm over that.
Yeah, and I don't know that many attractive people. I know a few. There's got to be some ugly people in there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that bugged me in
People. I don't need
Cloverfield. Guys filming and giant monsters about to step on you to drop the camera and run. No, let's film it until I die.
Yeah.
Fuck. I still like the movie, but that's
you know what? I could buy it in only one area if it's like a war reporter who's just used to filming until they might die.
Camera fell, he must have got shot.
Yeah. Like that's one thing I could totally buy that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only the only time that you could reasonably expect somebody to be shooting when their life is at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a cop, but
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to see probably people handle that even more clever as time goes on, but I think it's going to be harder for whatever's next to pop. And it's just going to get harder and harder for those movies to resonate because there's so many of them now.
But we're getting into ideas of like different concepts are coming out, which are really cool.
We're getting really smart horror.
Yeah.
I love smart horror.
Yeah.
You know what? I love me a slasher film too. Don't get me wrong, but I want something that creeps me out from the inside instead of making instead of throwing me like blood and guts and making me nauseous. I want something that makes my head explode.
Yeah.
Right.
Or something that makes it really hard to sleep at night.
Yeah. Right. Like I'm looking for that skin crawly one every year. I'm looking for the one that makes me go, that creeped me the fuck out.
or the one I'm like, I'm going to put cartoons on in the background so I can sleep because I can't.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly happy to see one of my favorite genres moving away from remake territory, something they're very guilty of.
Yeah.
And get into this kind of golden age of where we are right now. At least I hope it is, and it's not just a weird blip and an anomaly.
Yeah.
And I hope we just see more and more of it. But every time you get one that works, though, it's something you're going to get done to death. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to get 5 more. I'm like, why can't you just leave it at one good
Plus
one?
spoofs.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Right, and it's
and the spoof guys, you need to work harder.
Yeah,
because they're getting really bad. Those first 3 scary movies are actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, the first scary movie was amazing.
Yeah, and then boy, they get pretty bad as they go along.
Well, I think it's because I think it falls into the same trap as all the other movies. That's the problem. Okay, because how you talk about like somebody gets a good idea and then they do it to death. So the spoof has to kind of follow suit with all the other ones that they've done. So it's sort of it falls apart because of
their source material.
The source material falls apart.
Yeah.
So it's a domino effect.
Yeah. But a franchise is dead when your original actors just don't want to come back. It's like, I just can't do this anymore because it's so bad. I don't care about the fucking paycheck. I just cannot do it anymore. That's usually your first sign that your franchise is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just put it to bed.
And yet Johnny Depp keeps coming back to Pirates.
Yeah, because he's not ashamed of the paycheck.
But then again, there's 3 good ones and 1 okay one, so we'll see what this next one looks like. But
I don't know. The third one, they lost me around 2.
yeah, I liked all 3. Especially the third one, because they went and did Fear and Loathing on the High Seas.
Yeah.
I liked it because I saw something very different than everybody else.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the part that bothered me.
I was viewing it through a Hunter S. Thompson lens at that point.
Yeah. I can see how if I tried to view it, see if it was a Hunter S. Thompson movie, I probably could have gotten on board, but it was a Pirates movie.
I tell
and that's
you,
what bothered
everybody,
me.
if you don't like World's End, view it through that lens. You might appreciate it a little bit
Maybe.
more.
Yeah. If you're expecting a pirate movie, you will not.
Whoa, cracking. Harsh. We just need a pig Cadillac.
Yep.
See, I would have loved that
That's-
movie if as he was walking along the sand, Benicio del Toro in a Cadillac just drove by in the background. I could have loved that movie if they just put in that beat, and then I could have loved it.
There you go. Somebody edit that in. Just give us that scene and that.
Yeah.
Trish will be happy.
I'll be happy. I'll be so
Somebody
happy.
send that to us. And you can do that at Invasion Remake on Twitter, Invasion the Remake on Facebook, and of course Invasion the Remake at gmail.com. Get it in editing. Mm-hmm. Get us a pink Cadillac in that movie.
You can do it. It's easy. Maybe I'll just do it.
Just swatting.
Just for myself.
Bats that aren't there. I figure I might as well end the show because we stopped talking about the movie about half an hour ago.
But you know what? That was I think that's the point of April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
April Fool's Day was it was a departure, but it was like a new idea. It was the beginning, it was the end and the beginning of a new genre. Really, kind of. It was
kind of both.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, it was capping. It came out really late in the I think the slasher genre was already getting tired by the time it came out.
Yeah,
it might have got appreciated more in its time. It's I think far more loved on the outset, but I don't think a lot of people are even aware of it anymore because it's such a hard movie to find. The old DVDs are tricky to find.
Yep.
You're certainly not going to get them a good price online, so you're kind of hoping to find it at garage sales and pawn shops, I guess, because there isn't one in circulation right now.
We need a re-release, guys.
So you pretty much only can see it through digital at the moment if you don't already own it.
So yeah, maybe Blu-ray. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Bring in the Bluray. Bring us the stuff you filmed.
As much as I liked
do.
watching it on a digital platform, I want to own it, and I just want to be able to say I have this in my library because. Digital libraries can go away, but my library upstairs won't.
And I have to say, one of the best covers and posters I've seen with the girl's
noose.
Braid into a noose.
Yeah, and the knife behind her back.
Yeah, I totally...
facing the party.
It completely leads you to expect something completely different.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great, one of the better posters out there for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you made a nod to that because I wanted to mention that.
Oh, I wanted to be able to do that with my hair at one point. Never happened.
That's a lot of hair.
You'd have to have it down to your knees to do that.
She didn't have that much hair either. I mean,
no, I don't. Although here's maybe next year's Halloween costume.
Well, you do. You fake the noose part up at the top, and then you do 2 ponytails that tie on the bottom. Join up. It might be a little easier to do than trying to wrap it all the way around.
Maybe.
And tie it like an actual noose.
Or get some of those extension thingies and just do it that way.
Yeah.
Get some fake hair.
You're probably better off getting extensions.
Get some fake hair, make the noose bit, and then weave it into my own hair. It'll work.
There you go.
Probably the easiest way to do it, yeah.
And overwire to your shape.
Now we're talking about
cosplay.
Cosplay
tips.
Yeah.
See, this is the great thing. This movie takes you into all different areas.
That's right. So what did you guys do for April Fool's Day? I want to know. You can, again, tell us on our social media. You could play the best trick on everybody is by making them listen to the show. No, that's not right.
No.
It's a gift. That's a gift. And I don't want you to play a trick and then have them listen to something else. But you can certainly tell everybody how to find the show. You obviously already know, but tell somebody, tell 5, 10, 15 friends, as many friends as you got. Tell them how to find it. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Audio Boom, Player FM, and TuneIn Radio, as well as a whole host of other ones. Go check them out. I don't know them all because they kind of filter into other ones. And we're even on frickin' YouTube. freaking YouTube. So you can also do us a favor, support the show. We don't have advertisers. We lose money on the show. But one way you can support the show and help other listeners find us is going over to iTunes. Drop us a 5-star rating and a short review. It helps other people find the show and raises us up on the charts. And it gets more
earballs
on the show. So do us that solid. Once we hit 100 reviews, we're going to put up a poll over on Twitter, so you might want to actually follow us on Twitter, and you can be part of that vote, and we will choose about 4 different movies, and you can pick which one we will cover. It will be a bonus episode for that week, but we won't do it until we hit that goal.
Yeah.
And if I stop talking about that, that means it's not going to happen. And it's tough for...
We're a long ways away yet, so get on it.
It's a tough... I mean, we're a small indie podcast. We're not with a big company, and we don't have superstars fronting it. So it's the only way you can help us out is to spread the word and write these reviews and help get that word out there. So help us out. Show your appreciation for the show by just dropping those reviews and ratings.
Yeah. Be able to tell your friends and other people that you were listening to us from the beginning.
Yeah.
Be that guy.
You knew us before we were cool.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at 83 episodes and counting. That's crazy, man.
We've had an anniversary episode. How amazing is that?
We're closing in on 100 here. It's going to be before the end of the year, so it's, late summer, I'm guessing.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at us go.
Yeah. We're no longer the rookies on the block anymore.
No.
We're the wily veterans.
That's why that's why you have to rate us. You're like, okay, now we're past now our sophomore.
Yeah. Now we're actually pretty good at this. Now we just need people listening.
Yeah.
We're pretty rough at the beginning. I'll admit that.
But it is either you got to do it to get better at it.
That's right. You do. Like everything else, it's practice.
And boy, do we practice.
Yeah.
Yep. We watch a lot of movies.
Yep, we do it all for you. Well, that's it. I've been Jason.
I've been Sam.
I think I'm Jason.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I'm Jason. I'm not Sam.
I've been Sam.
Yeah,
you're Sam?
I guess I'm Trish.
You're Trish?
Let me check my underwear. Yep, I'm Trish.
And I'm floating under a pier. And we're out of here.
Oh, ha ha. Ha 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 ha! That's really funny, you guys! Really funny. Fuck you!